Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Joy Rose of Raw Fusion Living for Living Tree Community. Actually, when I first tasted their award-winning pistachio nut butter, I knew that I had to develop a recipe around it. I also get asked a lot, what do I do with the pulp that's left over from nut milk? One of my favorite of all nut milks is Brazil nuts. Not only are they loaded with vitamin E and fiber, they also have a lot of selenium, which is a mineral that helps repair damage being done to cells. So what I did is I soaked about 3 cups of Brazil nuts overnight, about 10 to 12 hours, and then you rinse them and put them in your blender with about 4 or 5 cups of water. Just blend it up maybe with a little pinch of salt. And this is the resulting, I just squeezed it through my nut milk bag. Now, what you do get when you're making it with 3 cups is you get a very rich, more of like a cream-like effect. And this is an excellent milk when you're trying to get family members to maybe use something other than dairy. This is a great way to go because Brazil nut milk is very, very rich. So we're going to pour a little bit of this in there just to moisten this dough. And I call this actually a triple green Brazilian Bliss bite. And the reason it's triple green, of course, we're going to use this just utterly delicious, about a 1/4 cup of this pistachio. And pistachios are also another nut that are so good for you. They're just fantastic. They actually help reduce your cholesterol too. And how I'm going to make this even triple green is I love matcha powder. Now, matcha powder is the dry powder that comes from when you are drinking green tea. This is the powdered form of it, and this is about 600 times more antioxidants than a cup of green tea. And if you're making these for kids, you could leave these out, although I decidedly think these bites are very, very adult. I love them with some herb tea or some nut milk. So I just put in a little bit of that. You don't want to put too much of the matcha, or this is green powder, because what's going to happen is that all the flavors are going to intensify once that you put them in the dehydrator. Everything gets darker, everything gets deeper. All right, so we're just gonna mix this up, and I'm going to add coconut sugar. Now, you can use any kind of a sugar that you like, or you can even use an agave or coconut nectar or honey or maple syrup. I just love the way that coconut sugar just brightens up the flavor of these. If you are using more of a liquid to sweeten, then you maybe want to use some freshly ground flaxseed to hold everything together, but you really don't need it like this. And we're also going to add a little pinch of salt just to blend the flavors, and also some of Living Tree Community's fantastic vanilla powder. Just putting in just a couple pinches. All right, and this is, you can use your hands. The nice thing about this recipe is that you don't have to add, or you don't have to use your food processor or your blender other than making your. And we're getting it real green, and I might add a little bit more. Now, what I used also was some green powder, because I really like to do invisible nutrition, especially if you are making these for kids or even for yourself. Get some more greens. We can never have enough leafy greens. And what I've been doing lately, because I use a lot of the powder and it's not inexpensive, is when I have extra kale and collard greens, I just take them off the rib and I just dehydrate them for a full day and put them in my food processor or blender and make them into a powder. All right, so we have this green batter now. And now what we're gonna do is just make some shapes. Okay, let me get the tray up here. And what I did is I put a parchment paper too, just wipe my hand a little bit. And you can really make any shapes that you like. If you want them to be round, you could do them round. And then another thing that I did is I have some of these beautiful pistachio nut meats. And you can even just put them in there and wrap them inside and have them as just kind of a little surprise too. So you could do either the round ones, like this, or if you like the cookie shapes, and I'm going to show you what these look like being done too. Just take a small amount and just flatten it into a cookie shape. And what you can do with this one is you can decorate it. All right, so I've got some of these little pistachio nuts, and here I'll put one right in the middle. And then this one I like to do kind of maybe a little daisy pattern. Put one in there, and then put a bunch around the side. And they look just a lot more inviting that way too. Again, you can try these with your kids, but I love these in the afternoon as like a little snack with some herb tea or rooibos tea. Okay, so this is what it would look like, and then you're going to put them in your dehydrator on the parchment paper. You can also bake these in a very low oven too. And this would be about 3 hours until they're dry enough to put over on the screens, and then about another 2 or 3 hours. And they store very well in the refrigerator. And let me show you what they look like when they're done. Here you go. I also made like a scone with a lot of them too. So here you have it. These are triple green Brazilian Bliss bites. And I'm Dr. Linda Joy Rose of Raw Fusion Living. And I'd like to thank Living Tree Community for all of their wonderful products. Please check our website for a lot of daily tips and recipes for mind, body, and spirit.